With Cassandra's hair, I want to show you a fantastic technique with sewing the hair. I love it and I hope you're going to enjoy it as well. Let me explain to you about the technique we use to prepare the hair. First off, once again, as I've done in all of the videos today, is I've done directional blow drying. So the hair has been blow dried up to the crown area. A little bit different in the front here though, from the middle of the ear up to the crown, we've texturized with the crimpers. The crimpers that we've used in a lot of the hairstyles today or throughout the video, it's the same crimper. Now that crimper we've actually used, we crimped out about, I guess that's about 5 centimeters. So we took it out so far, so just out to that line, and then we placed hot rollers in the end of it. The hot rollers were placed in a very conventional way, just straight back and allowed to cool. So that's allowed us to give this lovely volume to the hair, and when I start weaving the cotton and threads through the hair, it will help to hold it all together into one piece. So now I'm going to show you the back section. This is very, very simple. All we're doing here is we're going to section off from just behind the ear up to the crown. I want to basically reduce the whole back section of the hair, and we're going to create this gorgeous soft floaty look that will come over the top of the back of the hair. So I'm going to start with, as I said, taking my section from the top of the ear to the crown, top of the ear to the crown. Clip that all away. And with a little band, we're going to place the band in the back. So the band and the 2 bobby pins. Once again, this is a fairly fine section of hair, so I don't want to put anything too thick or heavy in there, because it's not going to really hold. I find that sometimes if the band's too big, it actually becomes more of a burden and doesn't allow the hair to hold as well as it should. Just comb that nicely up. And once again, that technique that I use so often, the 2 bobby pins and the very small elastic, we push it into the hair and then we wrap it around. So I'm going to come back with that finished. Smoothing down with a comb, just lifting those little layers out so any of those little lumps just will bury inside there. Now I'm taking the ponytail and I'm going to actually put a little bit of back combing in it. So very gently back comb it. The whole of this ponytail and piece of padding that I'm going to be using will be totally disguised in this hairstyle, so it doesn't really matter that it looks a little bit textured. But I wanted the texture in there because when I take the texture over the top, I wanted the two of them to be able to marry well together. Once again, I'm using the oblong shape in this particular hairstyle, so I'll wind it forward so I can create even extra height on the top. So as I bring it over, I've brought it very much forward and just pull my ends back a little bit, and that gives me a base to latch into. Now if you notice, as I'm pinning the hair, I'm pinning the hair in the opposite direction to the actual growth of the hair. If I was to pin in that direction, I would have nothing to actually anchor the hair into. This way, by weaving it through the edge of the padding and anchoring it across the hair, I've now got a lot of firmness and it holds really well. So having achieved that, I'm going to just manipulate this teased up piece of hair over the top of that to cover and finish pinning it into shape. I'm putting a little bit of spray into this now just to hold it all together. I've pinned it really well all the way around and pinned it towards the front as well. So I want to try and create a nice big bubble of hair, which I've managed to achieve, and that texture has really helped to hold it together. So the next section that I'm going to create will be through the sides. So we're going to drop the front out now, and I'm taking a side section which will be from the just around the middle of the eyebrow through. Just get right through here. Have to really work through this hair because there's quite a lot of texture in at the roots. Now I'm going to drag this really strong back, very, very tight into the back of the hair. So I really want that as tight as I possibly can. When I get it nice and tight now, I'm going to do a little twist in it, like so, and try to bury it in to the opposite side. So just very carefully direct it over and try to get that nice and tight through there. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side, and I'll come back and finish that off for you. Now that I've finished the two sides and pinned them into the back, I'm going to just get rid of the ends. So a little bit of back combing again, back comb them together, and just attach them into the rest of the hairstyle. So bring them over to the front and pin them in. I'm going to now drop the front out and start working that over. What I'm going to do is put just a little tiny bit of back combing through there. Although the Trousseau is in already, I wanted to get a little bit more guts in at the roots. So what I'll be doing is working through the front panel very, very carefully, just holding it up, little tiny bit of back combing, just pushing it in there to hold it all together and give me a little bit of bulk around the root area. Because it's important with this sewing that I have something to sew into. And that's what I'm aiming to do now. So getting that little bit of back combing really helps to hold the whole lot together. Bring that all back over. We're now going to smooth that top panel over the back, and I'm going to come back and show you how to start sewing with my soft brush, moving the hair beautifully back. What I need to do is hold this into place. I love to use these long pins. So by pushing a long pin in to the side of the padding, it helps to hold that whole panel into place so I can continue working the hairstyle. And I'm going to do a few of those pins around the crown area. So working across, I'll just randomly place them through to hold it all into place. I don't want it to slip around when I start sewing the hair. So I'll work all the way across the top of the head and hold it all together with the pins. It makes it a lot easier when you're working with a lot of hair. I'm now going to be able to come through the front section and sew the panels together, and I know that it's not going to move while I'm doing that. Now I'm going to start sewing. I need my glasses to do this because it's actually quite fine thread. Now the thread is actually a nylon thread. I buy it from a haberdashery store. The hair that I'm going to start sewing is the panel that came back on the sides. So I get right in through that side panel here, a little bit basically in line with the back of the ear, and I take a little knot in that. So it's really important to take the knot so it latches in. Now as you sew, I want you to think about 1 centimetre wide spacings all across the front. So we're digging in and we're pushing it out, and we dig in and we pull out. So I need to work all the way across the front till I get to the other side with this technique. Dig in deep. Make sure it goes right down, because you've got to be able to get a foundation to pull this, to hold this sewing into place. As I work through the other side, I now give it a nice pull down. Keep pulling it all the way through so we create this indentation with the hair. Now as we get to the other end, we need to make a knot in that piece of thread and give it an extra pull with another knot just to finish it off. So I'll leave that hanging for the moment, and I'll take my next thread. So what we have to do now is see where the last thread was and make sure that we come in at a different angle. So we don't want to go at the same line, we want to do what I would term a basket weave effect. Now, getting started is always the challenge because it's very tight in there. So once again, make sure that you do a loop in that. And we go over and we go under this time. So where we've gone over the first time, this time we go under. So this is what creates what I would call the basket weave effect in the hair. Now I'm going to continue through to the other side and I'm going to show you how that looks. Now you can see we've got this beautiful basket weave effect just by using this thread. So what I'm going to do now is come back through it and very carefully lift it and move it around. Now this is your opportunity to make whatever you want to make out of it. I love the way it gives this gorgeous bubble effect to the hair. It really creates a very unique honeycomb effect, I would think would be a good name for it. Just working through, lifting up. This can look absolutely sensational on lots and lots of different hair colours. It's a really cool way to give a really interesting effect to the hair. So what I'm going to do now is I'm removing these pins, and as I do so, just comb through the ends ever so slightly. Now if this hair was a little bit shorter, it'd be really quite nice because you could just continue that sort of shape, building it up from the back. But it is a little bit longer, so I'm going to now just take that whole panel of hair very gently in my hand, just back comb it. Just try and push a little bit of texture in there because it is a textured look that I'm looking for. So a little tiny band on the back of this now will help just hold the whole lot together. But before I get to that stage, I want to make sure that when I do texturize it, that I do create a nice feel to it. It doesn't look sort of too teasy and too undone. But then taking that small band and gathering all those ends together, just very much on the edges of them all, like so. That's holding them all together. I'm going to tuck them back in up underneath like this. So just in to cover the base of the hair that we worked on at the back. So take a bobby pin through one side and one on the opposite side. And just use your fingers to massage that soft little textured finish just at the back. I'm going to go away now and just finish this off, and I'm going to bring Cassandra back completely finished for you. How great does this look? I love the texture. It looks a little bit like a pineapple really. You can see all I've done is just push the ends up under to create that texture. So it gives that sort of pineapple-y effect, that ripply effect that you see on the skin. But I love the look of that. I think it's a really cool idea. And you don't have to pull it out. You can actually keep it quite smooth as well, but I've made it more of a textured sort of look. That's more in keeping with the theme that I've been working on today. So I hope you enjoy that, and please get out there and have a play with that one. I think this is a really cool idea for a technique for updos.